So, really, very, very welcome to you. I am with Natasha Johl, who is the most incredible photographic artist. Now, Natasha is based in Colombia. I would love it, Natasha, if you would just share whereabouts in Colombia you are, just in case anybody wants to come and visit. Tell us all about your beautiful space.
Oh, that would be lovely to have visitors. So I live in the Caribbean coast, on the Caribbean coast, in a small town called Minca. Minca is in the mountains called the Sierra Nevada, and they're the highest coastal mountain range in the world. They're very special because the indigenous people here call this region the heart of the world because they believe it's where the kind of creation was started. And we have 7 ecosystems. So it's a very, very special place, very unique, and yeah, very inspirational, very tropical, blue skies, green trees, lots of lush forest, jungle, and ocean.
It sounds absolutely blissful. And, at the end of a long British winter, just, yeah, what a wonderful place to be. But of course, you're not native to Colombia, are you? So you escaped Britain and moved there some years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm originally from Surrey, sunny Surrey, a small town called Carshalton. And yeah, spent most of my life until kind of my mid 30s working and living in London. Spent many of my years up kind of around the Notting Hill, Portobello Road area. But then decided I'd have a little career break and I ended up in Colombia. And well, as life has it, I stayed here.
You stayed and you now have your lovely family and your
Yes.
gallery. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your gallery?
So I've just opened up a little art gallery here in our little town. We just opened in January. It's going really, really well. We've had amazing feedback from our clients and visitors. They just really love. We have it. We've got the luxury of having a beautiful tropical garden, so we've got a lot of artwork kind of out in the garden, and we've got some inside as well. But people just love coming out here, hanging out in the garden, looking at the artwork, talking to us as well, because that people are normally very interested in hearing about our lives out here in the jungle, because not everyone comes and lives out in the rainforest. So, people are getting a really good experience when they come here, and I'm really happy. Yeah.
I'm so, so pleased because, we've been chatting now probably for 6 months. So all of this has come to fruition during this time that we've been communicating. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we've been really interested in getting together is some art which works with Feng Shui. Now, from my perspective, it's a real challenge to find photographic art which ticks every box. Now, every area of a home needs something slightly different. Your wealth area might want one thing, whereas your health and well-being or your relationship area wants something completely different. And then with feng shui, we also have to blend in the elemental stuff, the wood, the water, the fire, the earth, the metal. And so you very bravely decided that you were going to go on a little bit of a mission and put together a presentation deck with your art to show how you can use your beautiful photography in different parts of the home. So I'm really excited that we get to share this. We've battled, oh my goodness, what have we done? We've had um endless power cuts. Every time we set this up, there was a power cut in the jungle, and then various things happened here. We even had the battle of the extraordinarily noisy dishwasher man, who prevented it from happening. So I'm just so delighted that we've got to this stage where, Natasha, you can actually share your beautiful, beautiful images with us. So are you up for sharing your screen now? We'll just have a chat as we go through the slide deck.
Yeah, that would be lovely, Suzanne. Thank you. Right, here we go. Cool. Okay, so let me just check Can you see it all right,
I
Suzanne?
can see it beautifully, yes.
Okay. So this is a little bit of an introduction. Um, oh, I can't move the screen. Ah, there we go.
I,
Okay,
super.
so this is just a little bit about me. Um, as we've kind of discussed, I've got an interest in feng shui as well. Not an expert like you, but I was definitely up for the challenge of creating some new exciting art because it was quite a challenge as well to get everything, correct the colors, the elements. But what I'm really, really passionate about is creating art to help people's spaces become more of a sanctuary. So to kind of uplift and bring positive energy into people's homes, offices, or hotels, wherever they want to decorate. So that's a little bit about me. Obviously, I'm in the jungle, so I love working with landscapes and beautiful colors because where I am naturally lends itself to this kind of beautiful artwork. So I'll come on to the first section. So this was kind of our little mood board that we started with. And this is just like a little overview of some of the artwork, which I'm going to go through in a minute. And then
Lovely.
this is just going through the ideas. So we'll come to the earth element. And I've got 3 pieces to show you guys. And we're going to start with one that's called Tierra Sagrada, which means sacred earth. And this piece was very much kind of influenced by the mountains that I live in, looking at the beautiful lines, really feeling that kind of force of nature of the earth element and the strength of the earth. Because as I said, we live in the highest coastal mountain range in the world. So it is a very stunning kind of backdrop.
What I see here is obviously the strength of the mountains, but just there at the front, you've got the lovely sandy yellowy color of the flowers there, and it kind of just lifts. It's a very powerful mountainous feeling, and it's going to be very, very grounding in a home. And I love the way that you've presented it here with this design, because it's the perfect energy if you need an earth remedy. Now, I want to say first and foremost, Natasha's art is not a remedy in itself, but it supports a remedy. So using a very earthy piece of art like this one here will support your earth areas, but it'll also support your metal areas because it's kind of works together. So yeah, it's absolutely stunning, and I could see why it would be just so strengthening for a home where perhaps people are feeling a little bit ungrounded. Maybe there's some neurodiversity issues happening. That kind of strength is really worth having. So beautiful piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, it was a pleasure to take this piece. It's a beautiful landscape here. It's very stunning. So this is just another layout just to give you just ideas about framing options. I offer bespoke framing consultations for anybody that is interested in that. So I know that can be kind of a bit of a barrier for some people. They're not sure on their frames. So I'm happy to help. Right, so I'll go on to the next piece now. This again is the earth element, and this one is called I Dream of Mountains. The title is kind of an implication, is kind of a dreamy landscape. And I played a lot with the colors here. So you can see these beautiful kind of gold and kind of orangey tones in the
Mm.
background, which again kind of contrasts with the more earthy kind of greens in the foreground. And again, just that very kind of deep rooting with the mountains. And kind of I feel like this piece gives us kind of room to dream, to imagine, to kind of explore, which is kind of a lot of my work lends itself to that.
I just
And
think
I'll
that's the
give you,
perfect title for it, because it really is. It is like a dreamscape, isn't it? And you could just find yourself going into it and meditating your way into it and just wandering through. So yeah, very, very attractive piece.
yeah. And it is such a peaceful environment naturally. So it just comes across so So as it is, it's a beautiful, peaceful place where I go and take these pictures with a beautiful view over the sea. So which you can't see in the actual photo, but it's kind of in the background. And this is it in the bedroom. And then I'll come on to the next one, which is kind of in a more of a kind of social environment where
Mm.
people could get together. Yeah.
It's
So
just it's got the
shall I go on?
right level of warmth in there as well as the reinforcement of that grounding energy. So very lovely.
Yeah, this is a particular favorite of a lot of kind of clients. This has caught the eye of many. And then in a more officey environment,
And this from a feng shui perspective, even if you haven't had your full detailed assessment of your feng shui home done, if you're working at home and you kind of need that reinforcement, that reassurance behind you that someone's got your back, then, in the absence of your full feng shui, it's no bad thing to have some mountains behind you.
yeah, it's great. So this is the final one I've got for the earth element, and this is called Red Spirit. This was taken actually, not where I live. This was taken deep in Bolivia, in a very, very remote place in the salt flats. It's at a very otherworldly place, but you feel very, very close to the earth here because the earth element is so strong and really there's nothing else there, so it's a very, very kind of strengthening environment, I would
Hmm.
say. And I mean, stunning, visually stunning for an artist, visually stunning. So I'll just show you a little bit of this in situ. So this is
Yeah.
how this kind of I love it with the neutral colors, but you could equally put this with other colors. I don't know how that would work with the feng
Mm.
shui, but
You really
from a
would.
kind of,
Yeah, but what I'm
yeah.
also seeing here is in a place that needs a red earth remedy, which is it's somewhere between earth and fire. Now, red earth we do with terracotta, with clay bricks, with salt lamps. And this would really, really lift the energy in an area that needs a red earth remedy. So definitely worth considering if you've got, I mean, we have in our sitting room this year, we have a requirement for red earth. And I have to say I'm rebelling against it because it's been fire for years and I love those fiery colors. And having to tone it down to red earth it's been a battle with myself as much as the space. But something like this it would work really, really well in that room now, as opposed to the picture that I'm not quite willing to let go of. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
we,
so
we often
definitely
get
worth considering.
we often get attached to our artwork, don't we? That's why it's such
Mm.
an important thing to
Well, to
consider
get
when
right.
you're buying. Yeah,
Yeah, if you get it
definitely.
right with your feng shui, and sometimes, your red earth might be in one space one year, or it might be somewhere else the next. It's depends how the energies go. But what I love
Yeah.
about your art is that you can take it from one room to another room. There's nothing here that is, so trapped in one environment that you can't move it from one place to another. And that's what makes it
Oh,
very versatile.
I love that, Suzanne. It's great to be versatile and give people options. I love that. So this is in another kind of neutral environment. Again, here, as we've said, it's a nice, and actually funny you should mention about the salt lamps, because this is in a place that's very near as the salt flats, which is a massive area of salt. So I think that's quite common to have that red earth with
Mm.
salt, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And then
But you
yeah,
see, just in
slightly.
in that space now, this if you look at the decor of this room layout, it's a very, very metallic space, and yet this red earthy red art lifts it from being really quite bleak and grim to a very nurturing space.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I just used a slightly different frame in this one, a white one, whereas a lot of the other earth images have had kind of brown frames to
Hmm.
go with them. So this also lifts it just to show different options of framing can also change the artwork and the environment quite a lot. So
Perfect.
as I, right, so let's move on. So now we're coming to the dynamic water element, which is opposed to the calm water element, which we're going to go on to in a minute. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the dynamic water element, or if you want me to go into the artwork first.
Whoa, sure. So um, water, there's such a fine balance with it in Feng Shui, and it encourages flow, which is fabulous. But if you've got too much of it, or if it's in the wrong place, then it can backfire totally, and you're living with anxiety and overwhelm. You feel like you're drowning. So it's really important to get it right. And we will often, you'll hear people talking about waterfalls in Feng Shui. People will be encouraged to put a picture of a waterfall in their wealth area or something like that. Well, if you go the route of having your Feng Shui done, well, quite often you'll find that that's totally the wrong thing to do. But each home is unique and individual, and there is certainly a lot to be said for finding the right location within your home to bring a little bit of water element in to bear. And so these we talked long and hard about these images, didn't we? Because the
Yeah.
initial ones were, they just weren't cutting it as far as the Feng Shui was concerned. They were exquisite images, but I didn't feel that they were ones that I would want to recommend for people. Whereas what these images are showing is the energy of the water coming towards you, which is what you want in any situation. You don't want to see a river flowing away or the sea going out. You want to see that movement of the energy coming in your direction, but at a level which isn't going to sort of drag you under and leave you kicking and screaming. It's more, let's go paddle, let's feel the enjoyment of being in this space. And the waterfall as well. I mean, I love waterfall images. They're everywhere in my life, waterfall images, obviously in the right places. But yeah, so let's go and have a proper look at these images, shall we?
Yeah, right. So this is the first one. It's called Arimaka, and this is actually a very, very special place here. So this has been taken where I live, and Arimaka is also known as the ear of the world, because the indigenous people that come from this region have historically used it as a place where they go to kind of speak about their worries and to kind of offset any kind of preoccupations that they have. So got a beautiful energy anyway, because it's a very, very sacred space. And it's one of the spaces here that has managed to kind of escape kind of big tourist groups. So it's a very, very peaceful place to go and meditate. And it just generally has, like, naturally a wonderful energy. So I wanted to kind of share this with the world, because not everyone could come to my town and have this beautiful experience. And I took quite a few nice shots that day, but this one I think was our favorite, wasn't it? And
Mm.
this is the final
Yeah.
cut.
It's
Yeah,
spectacular. It's very, very beautiful, and you can feel the energy of the water as it flows across the stones there. I mean, it's just absolutely transfixing with this picture, and I do actually love it. Yeah, I think it's probably one of my favorites.
it is, and it's just, as I say, a beautiful space. We'd love to have you out here, Suzanne, so we can take you in person. Right, so I'll
Fabulous.
just show you a couple of this in situ. So this would be Arimaka in an office environment.
Hmm.
So, and then we've got it again in kind of another kind of study environment here with a slightly thinner frame. So again, we can see that the framing makes a difference kind of in the atmosphere as well a little bit. And then again in another kind of study space, but with a
Hmm.
lighter wall, just showing a bit of combination of the backgrounds that it could go with it quite nicely. And then the next one I've got is the Golden Wave, which is actually one of my personal favorites. And was not an easy photo to take, actually, surprisingly. Capturing the light at that moment to get that kind of gold color was incredibly I wouldn't say challenging, but it was definitely a nice hour there trying to get that perfect.
Mm.
And I just love the energy of that shot, the combination of kind of the blue sea with that golden color. I don't think I've seen that many times before, and I kind of those two colors make me feel very, very kind of uplifted.
Yes, and
So
I can see why. Is that a reflection of the trees on the beach there that's coming up in that golden, or is it just a sheer chance of the light?
I think it's just the sheer chance of the light. Yeah, it's absolutely just capturing. It was just that moment in the day when the sun was just in the perfect place. And
Hmm.
this is actually on the coast, a little bit further north in a small town called Dibuya. It's a beautiful town, and the beaches are just sand, miles of sandy beaches and palm trees. There's hardly anyone there. It's like paradise lost. It's absolutely stunning. And I had the luxury of having family living there, so we managed to go there for a few weekends, and I never hesitated to just take my camera and hours spent on the beach, just capturing these amazing moments. In itself, a
Gosh.
healing experience, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah, so
stunning.
beautiful that you share it with us. I mean, just glorious. Okay, let's have a look at it in situ.
As this is kind of in like a kind of, I guess, a kind of working environment where people kind of, this for me is like, reminds me of kind of a creative study, maybe
Hmm.
like a designer studio or something. Look nice. And it's got a kind of light frame here and with the big kind of mount. So it just shows also different options of mounting here with a bigger white mount and a lighter frame. And then here with a smaller mount with the same frame. Um, and then here with hardly any mount and a darker frame, just to show how, the image can translate into different environments quite well.
And it just feels so different, doesn't it? You look at the previous one and it picks out different elements of the sky or the waves, and then you bring it onto this more mocha toned wall, and it just lifts that gold.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible. And you're right, it just does show the importance of getting the frame right for the environment that you're putting a piece of art like this in.
yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm always on hand for framing consultations, because I know for some people that can be a challenge. So we're coming on to the calmer water element here. And this one, we've just got two pieces. So I'll go into the first one now. Oh, went backwards, sorry. Right. So this one's called Oceana,
Mhm.
and this is kind of a very subtle color palette. It's kind of muted because although I do love bright colors and I live in a very tropical space, I also love muted colors for certain environments. As you will know, that's very calming. So
Mm.
this one is for me kind of I can kind of drift away mentally in this one,
Yeah.
just through the muted colors. It just kind of makes me breathe slowly, and I, just instantly kind of calm. And this was actually taken in the same place as the Golden Wave, but just as you can see, at a very different time of day and a very different feeling.
And it's a different energy to it, definitely. And this, in terms of, it could go into a water area, obviously, an area of your home that needs a feng shui water remedy. But because of the colors, you could also use it in an area that needs metal. Now, if you were going to do this, if you were going to put it in a metal area, I'd always say just up your metal amount by a kilo to offset some of that water energy. But it is a striking piece of art, and it's something that does sort of lure you in, it's just taking you into the waves with it. And I think, as you say, in a meditative space as well. And I know the next one we're going to look at, well, we'll talk about that more then, but let's see this one in situ.
So this is kind of, oh, you can see this one is in like an ocean setting as well. So it's a nice
Mm.
contrast. And then, oh, that was the only setting we've got for that one. So, okay. So the next one is Seascape. This is another, I do love this one as well. This was taken in a park called Tyrona. Do you want me to go back or
Let's just have a
okay?
proper look at it because
Yeah,
what I really, really appreciate about this is it could be sea and it could be sky. And
yeah,
that just takes you to a completely new dimension with it. And I love that. And for me, yes, you would certainly put this in an area that needs water. You could put it in an area that needs a metal remedy like the Oceana previously. But this one for me, again, is extraordinarily meditative. You know, if you were just in a yoga space or a space where you want to just go within, to refocus, to reframe, I think this is just absolutely spectacular as a piece of
thank you.
art for that. And to catch the energy, to see the little hint of the pinkness, whether that's the dawn or it's some light off the clouds, you could you could feel that you're in a dream, that you're floating in a dream here. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a great one to kind of have a mental kind of escape, which is why what the title. So this is in a home environment, and then in like a kind of hallway environment, just
Mm.
kind of in the side of the couch.
And the thing is, it's
And
as
it
well,
just
it's
instantly brings,
unobtrusive, isn't it? You know, it's not
yes,
you could walk right past it and not be offended in any way, shape, or form by it, but at the same time, you could go within and really
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. And as you say, that hint of pink, I think, just lifts that blue and gives it that contrast. And yeah, it just makes it, I think, a little bit more of an interesting image as well with those color tones, the
Yeah,
contrasting
totally.
color tones. Okay, so we're into the wood element and beautiful greens coming out here as you could imagine. So I'll dive straight into the wood element. Okay, so the first one's called Twin Souls. And this again was taken up in the mountains where I live. This was taken actually very, very high up. I went up to kind of the Paramo area when they had, this was kind of one of the last big trees that they had on the kind of side of where we were walking. And I remember we had spoken about, this kind of twin energy and looking at pairs and things. So I was inspired by that at first, but then as I kind of looked at the beautiful greens and the obviously it's a tree that the wood element kind of sung out. So it's got the name Twin Souls because it's kind of two barks, two trunks weaving together, but it's in the wood element here.
Mm. And it's just such a united piece of work, isn't it? The trees coming together. And you could you say the masculine and feminine? Possibly not, but I don't know. There's almost something about it that looks like it's the top bit. It looks like a sort of hand ready to hold the other hand. There's something very, very special and very private about this piece of work. And I think if you were not wanting to do something really obvious in a bedroom, but to add a feeling of real sort of complete connection, complete intertwinement with your special partner, your significant other, then there are worse pieces of art to choose than this, which will reinforce that sense of connection.
Yeah, I think I really felt that when I saw the tree naturally as well, that huge sense of connection that this kind of it was a huge tree as well. You can't really even get, I couldn't get the whole tree. So
Mm.
that's why I've done the close up. But yeah, no, it was a beautiful energy as well. But I think the thing about my artwork is I'm in such a beautiful place that the artwork naturally has a beautiful energy. Right, I'll go on to in situ. And so this is kind of, I love this kind of like wood There's very lots of wood
Mm.
element there.
Yeah, it's a very mid-century feel there, isn't it?
And then again, contrasting a bit with the terracotta that we've spoken about
And
before.
here you can see the sensuality of it coming out, where
Yeah, yeah,
you've got that different background, and suddenly it's a very different piece of art.
yeah, yeah. It's very sensual, actually. The more I look at it, I can see exactly what you mean. It's a lovely thing about talking about art as well, because often my viewers and my clients teach me a lot about my own artwork, which is fantastic. So this is a favorite of many actually of my clients. This is called Alma Verde, which means green soul. And this is it was taken on the same day actually as the Twin Souls shot. So this was on the same kind of journey around the mountains. And this was just some beautiful greenery that was kind of just sticking out of the trunks and the forest. And it just the light shining on it at the perfect moment just captured my eye. And I love the shape of these leaves. I feel like I'm in a very lush environment when I see this
Mm.
type of plant. It's like a ferny type plant. Just instantly makes me feel at home, I think. So I don't know
Well,
if
I
you want to
think
say anything
the
about this.
vibrancy of it and the growth. So
Yeah.
so if we were looking, for example, at the southeast, at the wealth area, this would be a very lovely image to put in that space, provided it worked with the energy. So, for example, if you need a wood element or you need a fire element, then this would be a beautiful photograph to use because it's verdant, it's abundant. You can almost feel it growing around you. And of course, that's what you want with
Mm,
your wealth, the blessings in your life, the abundance in your life. You want that constant sense of growth. And I think that's what this picture gives us. So I would absolutely choose this, provided the Feng Shui supported it for my wealth area or indeed for my career area. And actually, let's just go a stage further. New beginnings, because it is new,
mm,
fresh, new growth. It's got that vibrant green, So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Let's use that in any of those areas.
Yeah, no, it's a favorite of so many. So this is the work in situ, again, showing different framing options and mounting options. Also love this chair. Uh, then again, in a different kind of color background, so you can see how that kind of works together as well. It brings
And
it.
Natasha, if somebody wanted this image, but perhaps a slightly closer crop, so you didn't get so much of the very, very dark, almost black green in it, you
Yeah.
would be able to crop it in tighter than that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so that's another thing, Suzanne. I also like do bespoke services. So if anybody has, for example, a size that they would like that's not on my website or a format that they have been thinking about because someone else has recommended a format to them, I'm always happy to discuss and I can do kind of bespoke printing and sizes to meet all kind of types of decoration businesses and budgets really. So all I would say is just reach out because yeah, if there was someone that wanted a slight amendment to an artwork, we could definitely discuss it for sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
This one is called bamboo. And bamboo is a very kind of powerful energy where I live. There's lots of huge bamboo all around the mountains, and you kind of get these over kind of these beautiful arches of bamboo sometimes as you're walking through the hills. Um, Something about the sound of the bamboo as well in the wind. It has a distinct kind of whispering sound, which just instantly just calms you down, and it's very grounding, very beautiful energy. So this is kind of cropped in. I'll show you the full shot in the mock-up.
And this is, I mean,
Here we go.
and look at that. It's spectacular. Of course, the thing about bamboo, and if you will have heard the Chinese talk about lucky bamboo. Even pandas think it's great. Bamboo has this incredible upward growth pattern. So this is why around Feng Shui New Year, you will find that, you know, the supermarkets and IKEA are all selling bamboo squares to, you know, bring this upward energy into a home. And you know, just like the leaves we saw a second ago, this again, I would definitely be thinking about putting in a wealth area or a career area or a new beginnings area, because it has got that vibrancy. Now, anywhere that you need a fire remedy, you could put one of these pieces of art, because wood feeds fire. You know, the elements work
Yeah.
together, they support one another or they oppose one another. Now, we wouldn't, for example, put a very woody energy like this in a place that you need water, because the wood absorbs the water. So we're working with the elements, we're working with the colors, we're working with the subject matter. And, you know, I often say, well, life really does mirror art. So if you're in a home and things are going wrong, you know, have a look around you and see what's on the wall. What is that stuff saying to you? And maybe consider exchanging it for something which is more supportive of you. Now, Natasha, your art is biophilic, which means it's tapping into the energy of nature, and you can
Yeah.
feel that natural energy just oozing out. It's coming out in tendrils and wisps, and as you say, that sound as the wind blows through bamboo. You know, and it's so evocative. And I hadn't thought, you know, I hadn't thought about the fact that my previous garden had loads of bamboo, and but it's that evocative sound that just as soon as you said that took me right back to sitting there enjoying a drink in the evening with the wind just wisping through it. Just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this is another very special picture as far as I'm concerned. I think you, once you bring it out like this, you know, you expand the image. Yeah, really, really works for me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a another all these photos were just such a amazing experience to take as well, because you get to see all these amazing things in the flesh. So here's the print with a slightly bigger frame, a slightly bigger mount, just to show how you could also use it on a bigger wall in a bigger space.
And I think in an
Um,
office environment, absolutely wonderful on so many levels, not just the whole upward growth aspect, but the calmness that comes with those colours, and the nature vibe of it would really benefit any office environment.
so then we're coming on to now the pair energy. So we've got a couple of new images in here. So this one is called Dance of the Hummingbirds. We've got two hummingbirds here, kind of, you know, they're very fast, the hummingbirds, aren't they? They have, I can't remember what the speed flapping is of their wings, but it's, you know, whatever it is per second, you know, it's 100 flaps per second or something absolutely phenomenal.
It's mind-boggling,
So
isn't it?
it's mind-boggling. But so we have so many hummingbirds here. It's I live in a bird watcher's paradise. So one of the famous things about my town is that we've got huge endemic species of birds. We have lots of migratory species as well. So we have a huge bird watching tourism industry here. And one of my favorite subjects is the hummingbird, because one, it's very difficult to capture, and two, for me, it kind of, you know, represents it's a very magical creature. I think people often fall in love with hummingbirds. So this one is a very rare kind of pair of hummingbirds. You don't often see them together, really. They're not they don't go around in pairs. So this is kind of an interesting shot. Um, and this is actually also another one of my favorites, actually. So I'll
So
just
with
show you
with this
this.
one, when we're talking about pair energy, and this is where we're thinking about the Southwest, love, relationships, connection. Um, and if you're interested in developing a loving relationship or strengthening a loving relationship with somebody, then to have those connected pairs together is a really powerful thing. Now, you know, it's sometimes difficult to say, well, you know, a pair of cats or a pair of birds or penguins or whatever. it's quite difficult to get a piece of art that looks like you and your ideal partner. You just you know, fat or thin, whatever. It's quite difficult to do. So when we come to a pair, a couple connecting together, responding to one another, it just adds that little bit of strength into the bedroom as well, into the master bedroom, but into the southwest. But as well as that, the colors that we have here, it would be perfect in an area that needs metal. Absolutely glorious. And just the fact that you've called it the dance of the hummingbirds, I think is yeah, it's just so very, very tuned in to what we're doing here, and that thrills me really.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely shot. I think I find it very calming as well. So yeah, but a special image because it's not they weren't easy to capture.
Mm.
So this is where we can see it in a bedroom environment. And then you can also see, I think, with the kind of brown frame as well, you can see a little bit of the blue sky coming out in the
Yeah,
background, which kind of I think adds a little bit more depth to it, rather than it just being kind of a flat shot. I think you get that kind of
I think you're absolutely
it's
right. Yeah.
yes, it's a touch, it's subtle, but it makes a difference. And I think a lot of my artwork is that there's a lot of subtlety, but it makes a
Hmm.
difference.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
in
I
a
know you take hours finessing each piece of art, don't you, to really get
yeah,
that absolutely right. And you can see, I mean, in all honesty, I'd never recommend that somebody decided to paint a wall this blue. But my gosh, doesn't that just look absolutely incredible against that wall?
yeah, it's a good color combination. It's a very strong blue though, isn't it? I
Mm.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then this one we put in. So I had this one with pear energy. This is one. So I have a selection of images which is from my air collection, and they are single colibris, so, hummingbirds. Sorry, colibris in Spanish. Um, Single hummingbirds. But what I love doing with these, and a lot of my clients have bought, is that they buy various. So they're putting them in pairs. So
Hmm.
these are actually two shots, but which you can use as a pair. So you'll see what I mean when I'm going through this. So this is another one. These are just two of, I have around 20 in my collection. So if somebody wanted to pair a couple of hummingbirds, I have like around 20 you can choose from.
Hmm. A
Um,
brilliant idea, and so such a creative idea as well. Because, yeah, absolutely, this is spot on what I was about to describe there. If you have two pieces of art working together like this, and so obviously working together, well, that's your pair energy. And if we look into this image, we've also got the pair energy in the candles there, and we've
yeah.
in the glass vases on the stand at the back. Now, with those glass vases, if I walked into a house where there was a couple and I saw that, well, I'd know that one was much more dominant than the other. I mean, obviously,
Ah,
this
interesting.
is an artistic setup, so I'm not going to
Yes.
worry about that. But even
Yeah.
with the little grey pot and the white pot beside it on the coffee table at the front, you've got that disproportionate
Hmm.
energy of the strength and the subservient. But looking back to those hummingbirds, just a perfect pair, one reaching out to the other, just extraordinary. So yeah, thank you for your inspiration in doing that, because that's worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the mock-ups, unfortunately, are not Feng Shui ready. So we
No,
kind
we
of
we
have
did have
limits
quite a
to what we work
discussion.
with. But no, I love the way that this pair works. And as I said, do have a lot of options for this one. So, some of the pairs that may grab your eye could, it might not be these two. So, and then this is the last one. It's no, it's not actually the last one. This is one called Flamingo Peace.
Hmm.
And again, this was taken in the same place as the Red Spirit artwork, which is in Bolivia by the Salt Flats. These were actually on the Salt Flats, and there were just you got this beautiful background, kind of otherworldly setting, and then you've got these beautiful, exotic, bright pink birds, and it's just breathtakingly beautiful. Very difficult to capture the beauty, but I hope I've got a little bit there for you.
Yes, it's glorious, and they're heading in the right direction. They're in tandem. It just works. It really works. Thank you.
And so
Oh,
this
look at that.
is to, yeah, and again, and this one, I don't often use black frames because sometimes they can be quite heavy, but I feel this a nice thin black frame on this one works really well in this kind of maybe slightly Oriental Asian environment. I quite like this pot. Um, and then with the metal element there.
Yeah, just glorious.
And then there's again another iteration of the last one. This one is called Flamingo Blue. This is using the last one had kind of a lot more pink tones, which were kind of dominant. This one's slightly more blue tones for people who, some people are not into pink. That's one of the things
Hmm.
I often hear. So this is kind of another option, but very kind of similar energy, was the same place. And then you can see again a different framing option in a different background, and then something a little bit brighter to show that this can also be kind of slightly more fun as well, can go into a slightly more
Yeah,
fun kind
into
of
that
kitschy
pastel
environment.
environment. Yeah. Now
Yeah,
these
I love
these
pastel colours.
birds, yeah, these birds are absolutely heading in the same direction. And for so many of us in relationships or looking for um, a loving, mutually supportive relationship, you really don't want to be heading in two different directions or walking away from one another. And you see so many pieces of art where you see a couple walking away into the sunset or walking under an umbrella, but they're always going away. And
Yeah,
with these birds, they have a destination. Clearly, they're heading somewhere together. And it's that togetherness, that connection, that reassurance that, I'm here with you is
yeah,
a very,
yeah.
very powerful thing. So it's quite kind of, it's not in your face at all. You could use this in any part of the home in reality,
Yeah,
but there is
yeah.
just something really, really beautiful and willing, willing to connect about this piece of art. So I'd be interested to see what happens if somebody who uses this as part of their feng shui finds that they connect with somebody who's also going in their direction.
Oh, no, that would be lovely. Yeah, there's we're very lucky to have such a wide range of wildlife near us, and you get to just take some amazing images. So this is to show the pink birds kind of in action. This is in a bedside table here, and the pink with the blue, kind of green, and then again in the bedroom. And then we've come back to twin soul. Sorry.
Yeah,
So this was again we spoke about for the wood element, but as we said, this kind of also works
but that
as the
sensuality
pair.
and the connection there as well. Yeah,
Yeah, and just
perfect.
showing as we saw it in kind of some more kind of warm colored environments. So this is kind of just showing how it also kind of lends itself to kind of a little bit of a more kind of pale white, clean environment. And then again, just different framing options.
New
So here,
beginnings.
yeah, we have here the bamboo again that we spoke about. And also this is a beautiful plant called the spider lily, and it's very famous for kind of bringing unity and positive energy. So it's a lovely story behind this plant. So this one is called Lily because I love the name Lily, and it just for me is very. I find this a very feminine shot.
Mm.
It wasn't meant to bring feminine energy, but I do find it a very feminine shot. Um, and this in a kind of study environment for the new beginnings. And as I said, the spider lily is kind of a very famous plant for bringing positive energy.
It's a
And
very
then the
fresh
bamboo
image as
again.
well. Yeah, of course, the bamboo we've already talked about.
So then
Gorgeous.
just to show it in a different environment to show the versatility. So now we're coming to the end, but we've got the last section. So this is helpful people and travel.
And here we've got the birds flying together, all heading in the right direction. And then we
Yeah.
had the flamingos there working together as a team. You know, these are all things that can pull us together and open our minds to the connection with others. Now, with this picture, for example, you definitely don't want to be putting this in the southwest, your love and relationships area. We don't want to encourage the energy of three. Seldom a good thing. And likewise, the group of flamingos, we wouldn't ever put those in the southwest either. But other than that, can we just whiz on to the flamingos, do you think, Natasha?
Here we go.
Okay, so now these flamingos, very, very fiery colours. The earlier flamingos, they were more muted, they were more
Yeah.
pastel, but what we've got is
Yeah.
that real fire energy here. Now, if you were going to use these flamingos in a fire area, I would want that image cropped in more tightly because obviously they're sitting there or standing there in water. Water puts out
Mm-hmm.
fire. We don't want that. But if we can
No.
just bring that more tightly in, that's a very, very strong fire image. So great to see that and great to see them sort of all backing one another up. You know, let's find a shrimp and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
This one I haven't put the title on this one, but it's called Together. So
Mhm.
yeah, the kind of feeling that together we're kind of stronger. That's the kind of energy. So I think that brings us to the end. So we just see a couple of this in situ, and then I think it works nicely with that warm yellow, and then here
Beautiful.
again against these blue walls. So I think that's bringing us to the end now, Suzanne.
Perfect. Well, if you want to stop sharing your screen,
Okay.
unless have you got anything there that tells us where to find you? Because I think that's often easier visually than
Okay.
saying it out loud.
Yep.
So
So here
perfect. Look
actually,
at that.
by magic, here's one I
It could
made
have
earlier.
been planned.
Um,
Could have been planned.
Here are my contact details. So there's my phone number. I'm often on WhatsApp, so you could just whiz me a WhatsApp. Feel free to check out the website where the work is. I also offer free art consultations. So if, as I say, if there's something that you like, but you're not sure about, please don't hesitate to get in contact just to have a little chat about it. I can make some recommendations and also give, personal sizes and different formats if someone requires something very specific for their space. And here's my email as well. Feel anyone can drop me an email. I'm available on all of these three channels.
Natasha, thank you. I mean, not just for sharing your phenomenal art with us, but to talk us through and to give us some of the background and the environment that you live in. And it just makes it so powerful and so much more personal. So I wanted to say thank you on behalf of us all for sharing your brilliance. And I hope that people do find their way to you, either in person or online, to take advantage of your beautiful artwork for their homes and their feng shui.
Oh, thank you, Suzanne. It's been a pleasure working along on this project with you, and it's really, really, really beautiful to learn more about Feng Shui. It's been really a fantastic experience. So thank you.
You're abundantly welcome. I'll see you soon.
All right, see you soon, Suzanne. Thank you.